Welcome to the #1 spot health and wellness practitioners go to double their current income and turn their 10-hour work day into a 10-hour work week. Join us as we dive into the tips, tools, and tech you need to create a life and practice on your own terms. More freedom, flexibility, fulfillment, and of course, funds. It's time to build your online practice. And I'm your host, Michelle Rogers, also known as the WELLthy Woman. Be sure to subscribe for your weekly dose of education, inspiration, and action. Let's get started. So just so you guys know, I know I've mentioned Practice Better yesterday and today because I keep talking about Practice Better because that's the client-facing platform that I use, the client management platform. And as I've mentioned to you guys, I tried so many. I have tried so many over the past, I graduated in 2012, so 10 years. And I guess a couple while I was actually still in school. So maybe 11, 12 years, I've tried a bunch of different ones. And as you know, they can be total headaches, right? And so this is the one that I've landed on for the past few years. It serves me in every capacity that I need to run my virtual practice. So I'm just excited to show you more about it today. Some of you I know are already using Practice Better, but for those of you who aren't, I think you're going to see some really cool things. Brittany's going to be talking about automations today. So welcome, Brittany. Thank you for joining us and being here and sharing your Saturday with us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about Practice Better. Like you, I'm a practitioner who used it prior to ever having any kind of affiliation with the company. So I also come from a place of just like genuinely loving the platform.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so cool. I didn't think I knew that. That's awesome. So I'm just curious, I'm asking everybody, all the speakers, like, do you work from home?
I do work.
You do. So like, what are maybe one or two struggles or obstacles that you run into working virtually or working from home? And then what are maybe one or two super awesome perks that you love about working from home?
Ooh, I think the number one challenge, even though it's like a double-edged sword, because I also love it at the same time, is the interruptions from the furry friends. So, you know, the dog that unfortunately likes to interrupt. So hopefully we don't have any of that during our session today, but occasionally that can happen. It never feels great when we have a furry friend barking on a live video, but you know, that's kind of par for the course occasionally. What else? You know, sometimes it can be a little bit harder to separate work from home, but I think you can have some really good practices to help you do that, help you achieve that. So again, I wouldn't trade it. You know, I love it so much. So the good things are endless for me, but I love like the convenience of being able to like whip down to my own kitchen and make myself like a really great lunch. How often did I like make lunches when I worked out of the home and forget them? Like just little things like that and no commute. I came from having a really long commute. So having no commute is fantastic. It just gives me back time in my day. And that's kind of a theme that we're going to be talking about today is getting back through automation. So certainly that's an aspect that I love about working from home and just the comfort, right? Like I'm a homebody. I love feeling comfortable in my space. I feel like I'm very highly impacted by my environment. So I don't know if anyone's had like a stuffy corporate office setting with the fluorescent lighting and like it's very institutional. It's no fun, right? So
just the thought of that like makes me kind of nauseous,
right? Like crawling your skin a little bit. Yeah, completely.
Yeah. But the commute piece that you brought up, that reminds me of like a little bit of a downside. That's when I used to listen to audiobooks and podcasts and stuff. Yeah. Like now it's like, it's harder. You have to really make the time for it. But anyway.
Yeah, I can relate. My Audible, I've got like so many credits because I'm like, when do I listen to audiobooks?
Right. Interesting. All right. So today's session, the title of the session is Automations to Start and Scale Your Business with Practice Better. So Practice Better is a complete practice management platform created specifically for health and wellness practitioners. It was co-founded by a former holistic nutritionist in need of streamlining her own workflow. So today, Practice Better helps thousands of practitioners streamline their work so they can spend less time on busy work and more time helping clients reach their health goals. So Brittany is a certified holistic nutritionist and the ambassador program manager and business success coach with Practice Better. Yay!
Yeah.
Welcome. So let's talk about automation. So what what are automations?
Yeah, so I like to kind of think of them as, finding ways to take the manual process out of your day-to-day tasks. So maybe that's alleviating the time that it takes, or even alleviating the mental component that is associated with tasks, like the things that really play on our mind that, as practitioners, as entrepreneurs, we all have so many things playing on our minds, so many things that are on our to-do list. We have to kind of like come up with that hierarchy or that priority list of what needs to happen most importantly or first. And so there's a lot of those like smaller tasks that just tend to play on our minds. So I like to think of automations as also helping to alleviate kind of the mental space or the mental time that things take up, and just finding ways to make things more streamlined, efficient, or intuitive. So creating an easier workflow, I think that all kind of comes into like the package of what we'll call automations today.
Yeah, I love that. And I was mentioning earlier that my favorite form of self-care is delegation, like getting things off of my plate. And so automations are a huge part of that. There's like the DAD principle that I learned. I can't remember where from, but from someone in marketing. And it's like you either delete, you delegate, or you automate, or delete, automate, delegate, DAD,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, this is the automation piece, which is just like, so essential, especially if you want to free up time. And as we talked about, like time is your greatest asset. It is the best currency that we have because you cannot get time back. And so this is just like one little piece that we can start implementing to help free up that time during the day. So curious, next question. When would someone or when would a practitioner start using automations inside of their business or their practice?
Yeah, I think you have to think really big picture when you ask yourself this question. So, if you're just starting out in your practice and you have maybe a small handful of clients, some of the tasks that you're maybe doing manually right now might not feel so arduous that you can't handle them, but you need to start thinking about having the systems in place now so that if you scale your business and you have more clients, is it going to be sustainable for you? So I think starting before you think you're ready is a really good kind of rule of thumb here. And if you think about some of those big picture business goals that you have, maybe it's a revenue goal, maybe it's, whatever it needs to be, right? And you're working backwards and you think about the number of clients that you need. Is your current process sustainable now if you had that number of clients? So start with automations and systemizing your business as soon as possible. Even if it feels like a little bit of a leap of faith at the beginning, it will pay you back in dividends as you grow.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And we think about these automations sometimes like, well, what is it? This is saving me like 5 seconds, but you add up that 5 seconds like over and over and over again, right? And you end up saving so much time because that time just like adds up. And it's like, why I always tell people, it's like, why do the same thing? If you're doing something more than twice, like it's time to automate it. Like it's time to just like figure out how to make that automated. Because otherwise it's just like, yeah, there's no need. It's a waste of time otherwise.
Yeah, I think a big theme of our platform is really trying to identify those tasks that are happening repeatedly or are redundant, meaning that you're doing them again and again. So as practitioners, we know that like some clients may use the same recommendations, even though we're customizing a little bit to every single person. So how can we eliminate that repeat work? Or are there tasks that you're doing every single day? In the moment, you're so right. Like it can take 15 seconds. So you don't really think about it. But I really like to encourage people to keep a time journal of all the things that they're doing from any given day or week, and maybe look at all your scheduling. So not just that one instance, but all your scheduling across that day or that week. How much time is that actually taking up? And what could you do if you got that hour or two back? Could you put it towards client care or content creation or maybe something creative like the marketing side, the things that feel like they light you up, that you feel really passionate about?
Yeah. Or maybe just like reading a book or listening to your audiobook, like we were saying.
True. There you go. Who needs a commute? Just like shave an hour off.
Yeah.
Your work.
Exactly. So I love the idea of creating like a journal or keeping track of what you're doing throughout the day. That's actually something I teach inside of my mentorship to figure out like what to delegate. But it's like, how would a practitioner start to identify those things that need to be automated? Like in a practice management system like this?
Sure. So think about the things that don't necessarily need to be customized for your client. So client care is going to be the one of those things that you want that really personal touch point on. But as far as like the administrative tasks, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Are you repeating that work more than once? Is there work that you're kind of copying and pasting into other ways? There's very likely a system that exists on Practice Better to support that. So again, that journal is going to be your best friend in just helping to identify all those little things that are so kind of on autopilot in the current moment that you completely just like forget about them. But when we really add up those things, like you said, that 5 seconds, that 15 seconds, it really does add up. Even
Yeah.
just like the back and forth, like I always like to talk about when it comes to automations to the mental component. Like if you're currently working with a client and you're doing it manually and you send them 3 times over email because you're like, this is going to be efficient. They've got their pick. And then you have another client and you have to remember which times you've sent the other client because you don't want to have overlap. You don't want to double book yourself. It can just become a headache, right? So the mental freedom is a big part of this too.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just we don't realize how much that mental weight like weighs on us, right? And it's like these little energetic cords that are sucking energy out of us, but we don't even realize it consciously. It's like the subconscious energy drain, but we're like trying to remember certain things or keep track of certain things. And it's like we're spinning all these plates that sometimes we don't even realize we're spinning. And to just kind of shave those things off is an amazing relief.
Yeah, yeah. And as we're talking about the acronym and the DAD acronym and finding ways to delegate, I like to also think of automations or even the Practice Better platform as kind of a stepping stone towards a virtual assistant. So maybe you're not ready to take somebody on into your practice, but you definitely do need help. Don't underestimate the help of getting some of these systems in place through a practice management software because it will help kind of bridge the gap in between maybe when you're ready to have somebody that you're paying, but you also need the support because you just don't have the capacity in a day to day to do all the little things and the client care and the content creation and coming up with the scaling plan, all of that.
Totally, totally. So, what would be some things that you can automate inside of Practice Better? Like what are some maybe I don't know, top 3 things or something like that that you would
Sure.
say would be great to start automating?
Yeah, so if you are on Practice Better, you might be familiar with the fact that there is actually an automations feature within Practice Better, but really it goes so far beyond just that feature. So everything from, say, scheduling and then having client reminders and notifications sent. So letting them know of an upcoming appointment or any changes, payment plans that you can automate, sending forms. How many times when I was practicing did I like think in the back of my brain I needed to send a form and then did it late, and then that impacts when the client fills it out, when they send it back. It just throws your whole kind of process off, right? So it eliminates the
Totally.
human error element too. Client communication can be automated. You can start to do things like coming up with templates for your protocols, for your programs now, for your notes, so that you're not repeating work, you're automating kind of the framework there. And then even taking maps or information from a completed form and mapping it into the client record so that you're eliminating the bounce back and forth between where you need to actually locate certain pieces of information. So really the whole platform is like your best friend for automating, and every kind of element of it will help you automate to some degree.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that I use it for is like I do a check-in form for my client follow-ups. And so it's like I want to send them a form so I can get a little bit of an idea of like where they need most of our focus to be for like that particular call. That's one. And then there was one other one I was going to mention. Maybe it'll come to me. Like I do like 3-month check-in forms and like end of our program check-in forms. That's really, really helpful. But yeah, there's I feel like there's like one on the top of my head, but it's not, it'll come to me as we're talking. But I know we've talked about some of the benefits of automating, but how would you say that it really directly helps to grow your business or to scale your business?
Yeah, so I think one big one to consider is the experience that your client is having. So if the
Mm,
client is having a great experience because everything is really kind of organized and intuitive on their end because you're organized and have everything together on your end, I feel that they're far more likely to be compliant with the protocol and the recommendations that you're making as a practitioner, far more likely, therefore, to see through the duration of their time working with you and your plan, going to have a great outcome. And then there's going to be that word of mouth where naturally, if they've had a great experience, they're going to go on to share that with their friends, their colleagues, their family members. And then that word of mouth is going to help your business grow. So don't underestimate how, we're thinking about automations about how they're going to impact our workflow, but your workflow is going to impact your client's experience. So that's really where the great word of mouth can come from too. So,
Totally. I remember what I was going to bring up too is the
oh yeah.
task feature.
Yes, yes.
Like that has been a game changer because you can actually assign tasks to your clients or you can, or your patients, or you can assign tasks to you or your team. And so like it really helps again, that client experience because you can make sure that you're getting things done in a timely manner, whether or not it's to review labs or to send test kits or to tell them to schedule their next appointment or whatever, but you can assign those tasks to your clients or patients or to yourself, which I think is super, super helpful.
Yeah. And I think once you find your systems and you have them in place, the nice thing about Practice Better is that really the sky's the limit in how you use a lot of the features. So when we think about the forms feature, for example, as practitioners, we might be thinking about the intake form and the check-in form and things like that that are pretty simplistic that most of us are likely using. But once you have kind of the feature figured out, you can then create a feedback survey. So then if you're having an automatic your feedback form is being automatically sent after the client's last session. You're collecting feedback in your business. You now have a ton of information about how you can improve as a practitioner, how you can make your client care better, how you can take what you do to the next level. So you can start to really think outside the box once you have some of these systems kind of outlined. So of course you can anticipate a little bit of a learning curve if you're getting started on a platform like this, but once it clicks, you're going to think of so many different possibilities and potential use cases for you to use things like forms. Like in my kind of demo account that I use, I have feedback surveys, I have content polls. So maybe you're coming up with a new program and you really want to understand what's going to resonate with your audience. It's really easy to do it on, say, social media or through a Google form or something like that. But what about your clients that you've already vetted are interested in the value that you can provide? So what about automating a poll to go out to them and then sending that communication automatically? So it's very passive, but you have so much information at your fingertips on how to up-level your work as a practitioner.
Yeah, totally. And another thing that's super helpful, I don't know if you want to share your screen today or not. I don't know if you want to do a walkthrough, but one of the coolest features that I've found in Practice Better is the programs feature, like actually creating programs and having like dripped content, which is so powerful. So for example, you guys, it's like I have a 6-month program. I teach practitioners how to create 6-month programs, and you can actually create educational material that drips out to your clients or your patients at certain intervals if you'd like. And usually that information is stuff that you would be telling patient after patient or client after client, right? Like, about sleep hygiene or general broad stroke nutritional information or anything like that, right? Adrenal restoration and nutritional stuff, lifestyle stuff that you can put in one place so you don't have to repeat yourself over and over and over again, right? Going back to automations and saving time, you could actually have this information dripped out to your clients every week or every few days or once a month or whatever you want, which I think is like a really, really cool feature, especially for those of us running programs in the online space.
Yeah, let's take a look at some examples. I'll share my screen
Yeah.
so that we can show some program examples, because this is, again, another one of those features that really the sky's the limit in how you use it. So you should see my dashboard here. This is what you see on Practice Better when you first log in. So I have kind of all that pertinent information that I need to stay apprised of on a daily basis right here for me to see. So my upcoming sessions, those tasks that Michelle mentioned that I've set for myself here. I've got my active programs, all the different resources, invoices. You get the idea. So let's actually head to programs to take a look at an example like Michelle was talking about. So you can see that I have several built here, and within Practice Better, you have a couple different styles of programs. So you'll see here, I've got the fixed date. So that is more calendar date based. So we're thinking like April 1st to April 30th, you're running a 30-day program. And then we've got Evergreen. So Evergreen is based on time elapsed. So maybe that's like the 6-week program. Somebody could start at any point in time and they have 6 weeks worth of content being dripped out to them. So one is great if you want to run the group through all at the same time, make sure everyone's kind of at the same stage. But if you have some content that it doesn't matter when they start, so long as they go through it, and you've got the Evergreen option for you there. And as a little sneak peek to the audience today, we are currently working on quite a few new features within the programs. So no timeline on that yet, but some really exciting things in the works to enhance this feature within Practice Better even more. So really exciting. But let's take a look at some examples. So we've got, say, the 21-day reset program. And within a program, you get to build out modules. So this is where you kind of house the content that will be dripped out to your clients, and you get to decide on when that's happening. So you can see this was a program that has taken place in the past, but you can choose whatever kind of date and time. And then you get to build out these content modules, and you can make them feel really engaging and exciting to your clients. So, infographics, you've got lots of different images. You can hop over to Canva and create things to make it feel really on brand and very kind of, again, aesthetically pleasing for your clients and engaging. You can even embed videos directly from YouTube or Vimeo so that they can watch them directly within Practice Better. They don't have to navigate off the platform to do so. You can hyperlink it here. So I've got a meal plan. I've attached some PDFs. I've also assigned my clients some tasks. So this is fantastic at helping your clients stay focused, understanding what their priorities need to be, and just staying accountable with you. And then you can see here a creative way that I've used a form like I mentioned. So within Practice Better, you have a form builder that's completely customizable. So you can either work off a template or completely create one from scratch. And you can see here that I created a little sugar addiction quiz. So it's super simplistic, but it will be kind of a nice kind of engagement piece within the platform, help them to make the connection about their eating habits when it relates to sugar, something like that. So you can see here that I've got lots of different ways in that first week within my 3-week program, the 21 days, for them to learn kind of and set the tone. So what's nice about the content and how it drips out information is that you can start to build on itself. So you can start really basic and then grow. So that's one example. But you can also do things like, you can see here my 5-day mindful eating challenge. So maybe one of your goals in your business is to bring more clients into your business. So I'm using this as kind of a free offering where clients can have this free 5-day challenge with me and understand a little bit of the value that I convey, and then maybe I can start to filter them into either a paid program or one-on-one work. But this at least gives them a taste test of the type of benefit that I can provide. And I can create a program like this completely for free. They don't have to be a client to register for this. They can, sign up through my website. I can embed this into my website and start to build my sales funnel essentially with prospective clients that hopefully will go on to becoming paid clients. And then the last one that I want to show you here, actually, let's show you 2 more. So I have my client onboarding program. So what's nice is that as you build out your services in Practice Better, you can then package them together, and you can also add a program to that. So now every client of mine that is purchasing one of my packages to work with me will be automatically enrolled in this client onboarding program. So they've got a nice welcome. You can see here that I've embedded a video for them to watch, get acquainted with my Wendy Smith. She's my demo practitioner. They've got a couple of documents to review. So this is really going to set the tone, help set expectations with my clients, and just pave the way for a great experience working together. I've also got some how-tos on how to use the platform because the clients will have a login on their side too to access their appointments, their invoices, all the resources that you're sharing with them. So this is just, again, really geared towards setting them up for success. So you can see here that I've used programs in a bunch of different ways so that, I'm serving my clients and reaching them in a way that's going to feel really user-friendly and lend for a great experience for them. But I'm kind of stepping out of that box of the traditional way that we might think of programs as practitioners. So that's what I mean. Once it clicks for you within Practice Better, you can start to think of all these creative ways that you can use the platform. The last one that I want to show you quickly here is, let's see, the maintenance and support program. So if we think about maybe a client journey where they've worked with us one-on-one and they've finished their package, but maybe they still feel like they need a little bit of support from me as a practitioner in order to make those changes sustainable, well, then I can enroll them in this maintenance and support program. So I've actually set this up to be an ongoing payment. So think of that as kind of like the monthly Netflix subscription where you're paying monthly until you decide that you're done with Netflix. I don't know who's ever going to be done with that, but you get the idea that it's a monthly payment as opposed to a fixed fee where they're paying one time. So this is going to act as kind of like a resource library for my clients who maybe still need a little bit of support, but we're done working one-on-one together. So lots of ways to use every single kind of feature within Practice Better, really make it work for you and your practice, your business, and your own workflow. So just so many possibilities here.
So good. Yeah. And I would say, can I also selfishly just ask you to demo one other thing?
Yes, of course.
So just speaking of automations, a lot of the practitioners that I work with and how I've used Practice Better is like maybe, creating a payment plan, right? So maybe it's like a 6-month payment plan. So could you show us like how that would work? Because then you don't have to worry about like, oh, crap, I need to send out an invoice to so-and-so this, day of the month or whatever. It's like, you can just like set it and forget it. And that piece has been really, really, really helpful.
Yeah, so you have a couple of different ways to set up payment plans. So what I've done here is I've gone from my practice down to billing and payments, and I've just navigated over to the payment plans tab here. So within Practice Better, you'll often see this little red fast action button down here in the corner. So that is always going to have the main functionalities of any given page that you're on. So if you're kind of poking around, playing around for the first time, that button will be your best friend in kind of understanding what you're doing on any given page. But we can create a payment plan here. If you're creating it specifically for a client, this is where you'd want to do it. You can select the client. You can then name it. You can add a description if you want. So you could say 3-month payment plan. If you've stored a card on their client record, you can charge that on file, or you could choose to just send invoices to the client. And you can also link this to a package. So you can see here, this will have the package already attached to the client. So I can select this one here. And then you get to kind of come up with these installment payments. So, how much it's starting with, what you want the installment to be, when it repeats, how often, when it starts, the time that it's triggered at. So this is really basic in, we could do a $100 installment for this client. And then we can say that we want that to happen maybe weekly. Then we can choose when we want it to start, time. We can preview the payments. We can see that schedule there. The last one will be the tax or the GST that you've set here. And then you can create it. So I don't have a card on file for Mary, so we can change this here to just send invoices. And we can choose to send a confirmation to our client or not, and then we can schedule it. So now Mary Smith for that payment plan or package has this payment plan. So that's one way to do things here. We also have within our automation section, lots of different options to automate here, but you can also schedule installment payments. So this is another option as well. So you can kind of go through those same motions here. So a couple different ways to basically get to the same place within the practice. And then when it comes up to actually setting up your services, so the things that how you're meeting with your clients, whether that's the follow-up session, the discovery call, things of that sort. And then the packages refer to individual services that have been grouped together. And again, you have the option of adding a package in there. You can also come up with payment plans for these. So let's look at one of my packages here, as those have a bit of a higher price tag. So we can go into edit. And then again, we have the tab at the top. So I've already set up all the details here with the regular payment options. So you can see that it's a fixed fee. It's a $1,500 package. I'm requiring a payment at the time of booking. And to do so, I've linked my account with either Square or Stripe. But I can navigate over to advanced options, and I can come up with a payment plan for this particular package. So this is not client specific. This would be available to anyone that's purchasing this package. And I can come up with what I want here. So maybe I still want something collected at the time of booking. And maybe that looks like, I don't know, this is a $1,500 package. Let's go split it in half. And then I'm allowing my clients to either pay that lump sum later or in installments. And again, I can go through the motions of setting up how much I want those installments to be, how frequently they're going to need to be paid, when they're taking place, even get down to the actual time here. So I can go and say that I want a $250 installment, and I want that monthly. We're going to trigger them at, we'll go a little bit later in the day. You can add a description here if you want, but it will auto-populate, and then you can hit save. So I've got two options now for this particular package. The client would be able to decide which one works for them. If they want to just do the $500 upfront with 5 installment payments or $750 with 4 installment payments. So we know that bigger price points are kind of crucial to the financial health of our business, but they can be kind of a barrier to entry to someone who doesn't have that upfront lump sum. So this can be really important in helping to kind of eliminate the entry barriers, right, to working with you. So let's leave that there.
Perfect. Yeah. I love it. Lots of flexibility. Awesome. Do you want to add anything else or show anything else before we dive into questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just show you a few automations here. So again, the way that we can automate within Practice Better extends so far beyond this specific feature, but this is really where you can set up a lot of things to just happen completely automatically without kind of any manual process once they've started, whereas others are going to help kind of systemize and make things a lot more intuitive and easier. So you can see my list of all the ones that I have added. And when I use my red fast action button, these are the ones that kind of pop up as my options here. So you can see the little descriptions, but what I want to say is that within each of these automations, you can use these all in a multitude of ways. So you could take one, let's say like sending a form after a booking is confirmed. I could use that one particular option and set it up multiple times with multiple different forms, multiple different services being the triggers, and just keep using the same automation. So again, sky's the limit with this. But let's take a look at some of the examples that I have here. I just need to look over my screen here. All right, so feedback survey. This is one that we talked about in our session a little bit earlier. So I have used the custom form builder to come up with a feedback survey. And within my services, so when I look at my services here, I have set up one of my services to be the final session. So I know as the practitioner that this is really no different than any other follow-up session, but by labeling it as final session, it allows me to set up automations like this very easy. It lets the client know it's the last session, so mentally they're preparing that it's the end of their package. But what I've done here is I've named my automation, so I'm sending the feedback survey. I have selected the service that is going to trigger this form being sent. So again, I've built in this final session service. And then I'm choosing when I want this to be sent. So I'm scheduling this to be taking place after the session date. So 1 hour after the session, once I hit save here, anyone that has that final session with me will be automatically receiving this feedback survey. So I think this is such an important thing to consider within your business. Is collecting feedback can be so beneficial, but so uncomfortable to ask for. So by setting up this automation, I don't have to worry about it. It is happening without me having to think about that cringy moment of saying like, hey, how did it go? I'm automatically collecting that via a survey. So a really great way. And you can see all the different forms here within my account. You might not have as many. You can start really basic, so don't feel like this is too daunting. Start with your intake and your check-in form and grow from there, but lots of different ways here. So again, I'm hitting save and I don't have to send that form to my clients. That is now happening automatically. When I receive them, I can even start to look at them as a group together. So I can go to my report section within Practice Better and head to the form response summary report. I can then choose which form I'm looking to kind of analyze. So the feedback survey. So Once you start collecting this form and you have it from multiple clients, you'll be able to run the support report and see all of their answers compiled together. So when you're doing your business planning and you're thinking about ways that you're going to improve your services, ways that you're going to change the strategies that you work with your clients, you'll have all of these answers together. So you don't have to go into individual client records to start pulling out forms, trying to remember what they said, going into the next client record, pulling up the form. It can make it really easy to compile all this information and find lots of inferences and lots of kind of trends and patterns in your business that's going to help inform you on the next steps that you take. So lots of different ways. I mean, we could demo the platform all day long and I could, I wouldn't run out of things to show you. So I hope that gives you a nice kind of taste test of some of the possibilities.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, and of course it has the basics too, like scheduling and like reminders, like you mentioned earlier, and things like that. So it's like, yeah, and you could put like, I like to go in here whenever I, maybe I'm not taking calls, or I personally, I think I've shared with you guys, like I don't take calls the last week of the month, so I go through and I make sure that like there's nothing scheduled on the last week of the month, or no availability the last week of the month, and this is how I do that. And what's cool too is that you can choose which services you have on certain days. So maybe you just do discovery calls or your sales calls on certain days. Like maybe Mondays are just dedicated to that because you want to be in the zone of like, bringing in clients into your new practice or whatever. Maybe you only do follow-ups on one day. Maybe you only do new client calls on a certain day, whatever you want, or lab reviews on a certain day. You can adjust it to whatever you want. So I think that's really, really helpful too.
Yeah, it's great. You can see here even on my Wednesday that I've given myself a 2-hour break because I want to do, something on the back end of my business. Maybe that's the not fun stuff like bookkeeping, or maybe it's doing some client check-ins. It's just I can't be seeing clients at every moment of every day of the week. So I can make my schedule really intuitive. Even if you're in a place where you are shifting from brick and mortar to virtual, maybe you're not fully a 100% virtual, you can really get granular with setting up your calendar where you can say that how you're actually conducting these sessions. So maybe, on a certain day of the week, you are in a clinic space and other days you are working from home. You can have that reflected in your availability to say what days you will be where, and your clients, when they book in, it won't have to have that manual back and forth of letting them know that, okay, on these days, this is where I am, and on this days, this is where I am, and this is where you'll have to go. Like it's all done for you. It's all in the platform. So you set it up once and then you don't have to worry about any kind of double booking or your client accidentally booking for your, your brick and mortar location, even though you're not there that day. So really can get very granular and detailed when you're setting up your calendar.
Yeah, I love that. That's all super good. Are you ready to dive into questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So Chelsea has a question. It says, is the platform, including the video feature, HIPAA compliant?
Yes. So the platform is HIPAA compliant. So everything within the platform is HIPAA compliant. There are certain limitations that we would advise against, such as setting up an integration with Zapier. We would advise, say, not pulling client information over to your email newsletter, for example. But as far as the sessions with your clients that you'll be hosting through video, the Practice Better telehealth component, the communication that you'll have with client, the delivery of resources is all HIPAA compliant. So privacy issues you don't really need to worry about. We do also have an integration with Zoom. So if you'd like to use your Zoom account directly within Practice Better, you can do so. You'll just work with Zoom to get their HIPAA compliant add-on to your account. And having the Zoom feature will allow you to work with groups as well. So kind of like what we're doing today on Zoom, where we have multiple people, you can also do a group-based practice within Practice Better as well.
Good question. Chelsea has another question. Are there integrations with labs and or pharmacies?
Yes. So we actually just within the last week, we have kicked off a new integration with Rupa Health. So I'm going to just navigate over here to our integrations page. So with Rupa Health here, you're now able to receive results for your lab orders in the platform. So you can actually see the lab results directly in there and store them in the client record really easily. You can take notes on them and annotate them, share them back with clients. So we're really excited about this integration, and we're just we haven't even done our official like announcement yet of it. So
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
Question. Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah. We're always looking for new integration partners too, I will say. So it's Rupa Health now, but we could see others potentially in the future down the line as well.
Amazing, amazing. Tara says, does Practice Better serve to replace multiple tools like ConvertKit, Teachable, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we think about a lot of the platforms that people are likely currently using, whether that's something like Zoom for their telehealth, Acuity, or Calendly for their scheduling, maybe they've got Teachable or Thinkific for their programs, you can run that all under one Practice Better account. The one thing that I would say is that we are not an email newsletter kind of platform. So you wouldn't want to get rid of, say, like your MailChimp or your ConvertKit or something of that nature. There's definitely ways to communicate with your clients within the platform, and you can even also hook up the Zapier integration here to bring clients kind of across. Just bear in mind with the HIPAA compliance piece. So yeah, a lot of the goal and the theme of Practice Better is everything in one place where you don't have to have multiple accounts across multiple pieces of software.
Yeah, super helpful. Jan says, remember you guys, if you have questions, please post them in the Q&A. Jan says, I've heard many rave reviews about Practice Better. I'd love to use it, except it didn't work for me a couple years ago. But many of my clients also use Practice Better for their own clients. As a result, since my client's business email was also their personal Practice Better account email, it just didn't work for me. Has that changed, or what workaround do you recommend?
So if you're requiring multiple accounts to be a practitioner and a client, is that the question?
I think so. Can you clarify? I will also say, like, 2 years, I would say Practice Better is like improved and changed so much. Like, you guys are constantly, and like the support system with Practice Better is insanely amazing too. Like, Brittany's actually in my Slack group, like, for my mentorship. And so like people can ask questions and she can just like create little Loom videos and like train people right there, which is like super freaking cool. But the support team in general is super sweet. But do you want to clarify, Jan? Is that what you mean? Like having multiple accounts, like same emails? Is that what's happening here?
Yeah, I will say if you are a client working with a practitioner, you can work with multiple clients. You'd be able to kind of select from a dropdown which practitioner you're working with. If you're a practitioner and wanting to be a client of someone else's, it would require 2 different emails. So, use your business email for your practitioner login, use a personal email if you are the client. But hopefully Jan will clarify and we can hope we've answered.
Yeah. Let us know, Jan, if we answered. Yoshika says, Brittany, does Practice Better help to build out programs, or do you have resources? I have material, but not as tech patient to complete myself.
Yeah, so we are really passionate about supporting our community, kind of like Michelle was mentioning. So given that we're a team of practitioners, we kind of have been in your shoes of feeling those pain points. So we do our best to come up with a ton of content to support the learning curve associated with Practice Better and make it as easy as possible. We really pride ourselves on not only having a really user-friendly platform, but also giving you additional tools. We know that not everyone got the time and also, the tech savviness to feel really comfortable on the platform. So what I would say is you've got a few different options. One, you could, take the time through our resources. So whether it's a blog post or a YouTube video, we've got tons on how to create really great programs. We've also got a Facebook group exclusive for our paid members where they really like to crowd share and support each other on coming up with content. They share resources, they share, their how-tos and tips and tricks, and particularly about programs because it is such a buzzworthy topic for practitioners. We've seen a lot of conversation about how to do that effectively in Practice Better. And then we've also seen people kind of come up with their businesses specifically about Practice Better. So we have virtual assistants popping up that are creating a whole business about supporting people get started within Practice Better. So those resources are also kind of shared those recommendations come up quite often in our Facebook group of VAs who work specifically to help people build things in Practice Better. So you've got some options there for sure.
That's brilliant. And like I love that VAs are doing that. Like they see a gap in the market and they're like filling that demand. That's really cool.
And we
Really
work
cool.
with those VAs so that they feel like they really understand the platform. So the same way that we're supporting Michelle with the Slack support, for example, we're working with a small group of VAs who have their own businesses who are looking to help people get started in Practice Better and build things out. So yeah, they've got some good tricks up their sleeve too.
I love that. That's so cool. Tony says, after signing up for a plan, is there any kind of onboarding? I noticed you have about 30 hours of deep dive videos available, so I'm certain most answers can be found there somewhere. However, if we needed more high touch or assistance in setting things up, do you offer hands-on assistance? And if so, what is the cost for that?
Yeah, so we do have our customer support team that will do sessions with our users. So I don't know the price off the top of my head, but you can certainly message our help at practicebetter.io. I will put that in the chat for everybody. And this is where you'll email to learn about those sessions and the costs associated with them. We've also seen, I'm going to plug our Facebook group again. I did see a question about the name of it. It's called the Practice Better Inner Circle. We've also seen people do groups where they get together and they help each other through like Zoom sessions, like they have working sessions together. So again, a really great place to network. But if you want someone dedicated from Practice Better, email help at practicebetter.io and inquire about what a one-on-one session would look like.
Yeah, their support's great. And I'll have Kara pop in the link to try Practice Better if you guys want to try Practice Better. She's got a link for you there. Perfect. And then Trisha says, using Practice Better for a few months, loving it. What would you recommend for learning ways to use Practice Better outside of the YouTube videos?
We have a great,
I think, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, great blog. So that's a place to start. I'm going to sound like a redundant here, but we also post what we call hack videos in our Facebook Inner Circle group, and that will give you creative ways on how to use the platform. So little things that might not be the usual way to use a feature. We're showing you how to think outside the box with it, how to create a waiting list, for example, how to do, like I mentioned during our session, a content poll to pull your audience on, new content that you're coming up with to make sure that when you do bring it to market, that it really lands with your clients, things like that. So that would be kind of our top resources that I'd share. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Answer that. Jan says, yes, to clarify, people tried to sign up as my Practice Better client with their work email that was already in there as their Practice Better account holder. So is there a workaround now?
Yeah, no, it's still just using a separate email in that instance. So yeah, if they happen to be a practitioner themselves, they would need to use a separate email to be a client. But as a client, you can work with multiple practitioners. If you've got a nutritionist here and you've got maybe, I don't know, like a licensed esthetician that you're also working with in a completely different capacity, sometimes it'll get muddled. We would just recommend like clearing cookies on your browser, and it should clear things up so that you can log in under the correct practitioner.
Perfect. Tony says, actually, the VAs might be what I would be seeking in regards to my question above. Thanks. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Perfect. Yeah.
That's a super cool feature. Like, wow.
Yeah. We've got a couple of people that, like I said, we've worked with to help train specifically on Practice Better. So they're definitely out there, the ones that will feel really knowledgeable about the platform.
Cool. Alina says, do you have other groups beside Facebook, as I don't have Facebook?
We don't currently. So that doesn't exist, but I would say make use of that blog because there's still great content on there. So a lot of what we post actively in the Facebook group, we're pulling from, content that we're sharing elsewhere. So YouTube, the blog, you're still going to get tons of really beneficial content.
Yeah. And then reaching out, of course, to Practice Better directly to see if you need some more additional support or whatever, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, and we run fairly regular webinars on getting started on the platform. So if you are new to Practice Better, at the end of the session here, we'll be sharing a little Google form that has an exclusive coupon code for everyone, but there is also a place for you to put your email. So that will allow you to sign up for kind of more information about the platform, and that's where you'll also receive kind of invites for future webinar events that we host. So like getting started on the platform, if you're looking to understand like the first steps that you should take to get started, or you just want to understand some of the basic functionality because you're not ready to step outside the box, that's totally fair. It's very robust. The Getting Started webinar would likely be a really good fit for you.
Awesome. If you have any questions, we've got one more in the box here, so I'll go ahead and ask it. Tara says, are there discounts for paying annually?
I believe so. Yeah. So you've got 5 different tiers of plans. So I will actually bring that up here. Maybe what I'll do here is I'll just pop it in a link here. But if you do choose to, I don't know exactly what the pricing savings looks like, but I believe that if you pay annually, you will save as compared to paying monthly. And I'm going to pop this little chart in the chat here with all the different features to compare. So we do have a free account on Practice Better. So it's called our Sprout account. So if you're curious today and you're intrigued about the platform, but you're not ready to commit, no problem. You can start off on the Sprout account. So the limitation there is there's 3 client records. So there's no time constraints. You get to basically have some 3 client records, quite a bit of capability, certainly not everything. So for example, like the programs that we showed today, you won't have access to, but it will give you a good feel for how user-friendly the platform is and just kind of getting started on it, whether it's something that you feel like you're interested in kind of taking that next step on.
Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Yashika says, can I email you, Michelle, can I email you for Practice Better BA contacts? No, I am not sure who those contacts are, but I think is it inside the Facebook group is where she can find those VA contacts?
Yeah, I mean, I can email me. I'll put my email here in the chat. And if anyone wants a recommendation, I'm happy to share them. Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Trisha asks, I like that you can add your logo in the later plans for sending content. Yeah, it's nice. You can change the colors to your brands. Like you can make it like a really beautiful platform if you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you can also, so if we're looking here on sharing your links, so what we refer to here is coming up with all the links that you share for your clients to actually book in your services, your packages, or your programs. You can also create booking widgets and customize the color on certain tiers of accounts so that if you do choose to embed this booking widget on your website, it'll fit in with your branding kind of no matter where you put it. So essentially think of it as almost like white labeling, where you get to have like your picture, your logo, your colors, your tagline all within the resources that you're sharing within Practice Better.
Yeah, super helpful. Any other questions? We've got 7 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, or we can cut out early. What do you think? Any like closing remarks from you, Brittany, or anything that you feel like, oh, I want to share this with them, or tell them about this thing, or
you know what? I think what we really love about our platform here, obviously we know that there's others out there, but we really love the amount of client accountability strategies that you have at your fingertips with Practice Better. So everything from a food and mood lifestyle journal where clients can fill out what they're eating, things about their daily movement, their sleep habits. So as a practitioner, you have access to that and you can comment and give your feedback, from having messages in a secure chat feature here. So you can see I've got my messenger and I can select my clients and send them a very quick chat message. We can also schedule these. You've got the ability to send attachments, start a video session right from in here. You've got the ability to set those tasks up. there's so many ways to engage with your clients within the platform, and we really feel like that what helps us stand out and what helps you as practitioners excel, because like I said, somewhere in the midst of all of this, that a great client experience is really going to help them stay on track, have a great outcome, and is going to benefit your business through that good word of mouth referral. So definitely worth exploring some of those ways that you can take your client care to the next level, help set expectations, all of that within the Practice Better platform.
Yeah. And I just want to emphasize, kind of like we did earlier today, it's like this might seem overwhelming or like there's so many options, but that's like you get to start as simple as you want and you really get to curate it to suit you and to suit your clients in the best possible way. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. And like Brittany was saying earlier, start simple and then you can expand, right? You can just start with your intake and your check-in forms, and then you can start to expand once you get comfortable with the features. So I love the flexibility, right? It's like I always say it's like options. Like if you have options, if you have that choice, like that's what leads to freedom. You get to create it the way that you want, which I really like. So Samuel has one more question that says, what features are available under the nutrition menu?
I'm not sure about the nutrition menu that we're referring to. Maybe you can help.
Yeah, would you mind? Yeah, would you mind clarifying, Samuel, what nutrition menu you're talking about?
Yeah, while we wait for clarification, I will say, like, if you are daunted, and of course this is a very robust platform, but the things that you'll want to do when you're first getting started is to set up your profile. So that's just about who you are and what you do. You can add in your designation here. We started from a nutritionist as a platform for nutritionists, but we've since grown to all different types of health and wellness designations. You can add your biography about, who you work with, what you specialize in, that kind of idea. So your prospective clients know that they're finding a practitioner that fits them. You can link out to all your socials here, put in your accreditations. So that's kind of step number one. Step number two would be to set up the services. So again, this is going to be how you meet with your clients, from the discovery, the initial consultation, the follow-up. That's like the three, that you can probably rely on, that you're going to want to use. And from there, expand when you feel comfortable. You can package those things together if you're looking to work with clients long-term to achieve better outcomes and results. And then the next thing that you'll need is availability. So setting up when you can actually meet with your clients. So we kind of touched on this before, but you get to choose what day, what time, where you're located, how the actual session will take place, whether that's in person, virtually, or even on the phone, and then set up your forms. So basics would be the intake form, maybe a check-in form. We do have templates that you can work off of. So you get to select from our list of templates here. And this is fully customizable, so you can kind of go through this template. If something doesn't resonate with you or your practice, delete it. You can use our form elements menu here to add different kinds of questions. So maybe it's a multiple choice, a yes or no, short. You've got lots of different options there. So you've got those kind of 4 basic steps to get started. With just those things, you can start seeing clients virtually and then grow from there. So take your time kind of dipping your toes into the water once you have those 4 main features set up.
I love that. Yeah, it makes it simple to be like, where do I start? Samuel clarified. He said, I was referring to the nutrition label at the top of the screen next to my practice. So the little tab there. Yeah.
Yes. Gotcha. So within Practice Better, you have the ability to come up with supplement recommendations for your clients. So you can choose to basically come up with kind of a library of commonly shared recommendations, so that they're all here for you. And that when you are making recommendations, whether that's through a protocol, for example, you don't have to start from scratch every single time where you're adding in that information. So if you wanted to, say, add in an omega, you'd be able to do that. You'd be able to kind of link your full script or WELLthy online dispensary account. So that way you can also create those protocols within those platforms. The clients can purchase them, have them shipped directly to your door. So that would be the supplement side of things. And then similarly with the food database, if you're looking for certain information with food, we do power partner with nutritionists. So that's who, when the clients are filling out their food and lifestyle journals, if they're coming up with their food intake, they'll be able to kind of add that in, and you'll be able to kind of analyze the food. So within the food journals, there's, I would say, 3 main ways that clients can add food. They can simply just take a picture of their meal. They could add from the nutritionist database and actually build out what they're eating and the meals, and they can save those as recipes, or they can just do what's called freeform. So maybe they're just writing in, I had toast with almond butter and sliced apple for my lunch, whatever it may be, right? And then depending on your scope of practice, if you wanted to understand more of the nutrient breakdown and the macros of that particular food, you could use the database here to understand further. And then you've got same thing where you can look through a database of supplements. So maybe you want to look at a vitamin D. It should bring you up a whole kind of list here of different ones that you can kind of search through to make sure that you're finding one that you feel comfortable recommending in your practice. So you've got kind of those databases right within the platform.
So good. Do you have, I want to be respectful of your time, Brittany. Tony has one more question. Are you open to taking it? I know we're at the bottom of the hour right now.
No worries.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Tony says, any future technology integrations coming? We love Oura Ring as an example for all our clients instead of Fitbit.
Yes, Oura is a very popular ask a request. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm an Oura user. I totally get it. It's not currently in the works, but it's certainly something that has been requested before. So we do really pay attention to what our members are wanting and need to make their practices successful. So we do encourage people to share their feature requests. So the email that I shared earlier, the help@practicebetter.io, if you did have an integration partner that you'd love to see within the platform, certainly let us know about it. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen automatically, but it is really good for us to know and kind of have on our radar. And we do also pay attention to popularity of requests and things of that nature. So, we've got limitations onto how much our development team can achieve at any kind of moment in time, but we do encourage people to share requests. I'd love to see that Oura integration, certainly.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany. This was super informative, and I love screen sharing. I'm like a visual learner, so I think other practitioners would also feel the same. It's just super helpful to see it in action and to see how to do things. Thank you so much, Brittany. Really appreciate your time. Have a beautiful rest of your day and a restorative weekend.
You too. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
See you soon. Bye. All right, that's a wrap for today. If you want the exact breakdown of how I help practitioners go from their first 5K to consistent 50K months with just 2 offers, 10 hours per week, and an audience of less than 500 people, be sure to click the link in the podcast description or head to wealthywoman.co/breakdown. To make sure you don't miss an episode, be sure to subscribe. And for daily online practice insights, follow me on Instagram at wealthywoman.co. Let's create your life of wealth, full of abundance, purpose, health, wealth, and joy.